Kevin slammed the gear forward, and the classic muscle car roared through the corner with a violent backfire that echoed down the street. Pop! A few pedestrians turned to look. Kevin grinned proudly behind the wheel. There it is, he laughed. Sheila rolled her eyes, though she couldn't stop herself from smiling. You're impossible. The late afternoon sun poured across the windshield while warm summer air rushed through the open windows. The long weekend had transformed the small lakeside town into something almost dreamlike. Crowded patios, distant music, motorcycles humming through downtown streets, and the smell of barbecue drifting lazily through the air. It felt like freedom. Kevin rested one arm casually along the window while steering with the other, acting far more confident than he really was. Sheila knew the act well by now. They had been together for a little over a year, and despite all the macho showmanship, Kevin still became nervous whenever he genuinely wanted to impress her. Boys will always be boys, she thought. Still, she loved this side of him. The spontaneity, the recklessness, the way he chased simple moments as though they mattered more than anything else. Ice cream drives, backroad adventures, late-night diners, windows down, music loud. Kevin made ordinary things feel alive, and somewhere along the way, Sheila realized he had quietly awakened the wild side of herself she usually kept carefully restrained. She leaned her head slightly out the window and closed her eyes for a moment, letting the warm breeze move through her hair. The engine vibrated beneath them, with deep mechanical growl she found oddly comforting. Cars had always been part of her life. Her father had spent nearly 30 years as a race car mechanic, and some of Sheila's earliest memories involved grease-covered tools scattered across garage floors while engines thundered somewhere nearby. Most little girls grew up around dolls. She grew up around carburetors and torque wrenches. Even now, she could tell by sound alone when something inside an engine wasn't quite right, which was why, when the car made the noise again, her smile faded slightly, a subtle metallic rattle beneath the engine. Brief, easy to miss. Kevin either didn't notice it or pretended not to. She glanced toward him. You hear that? Hear what? That rattling. Kevin shrugged casually. Old cars make old car noises. Sheila frowned faintly. Maybe. But this felt different somehow. The road ahead narrowed as they left the busier part of town behind, winding gradually into quieter countryside lined with forests and open fields glowing gold beneath the lowering sun. The farther they drove, the fewer cars they saw. Kevin turned the music up slightly. Classic rock crackled softly through the speakers. You worry too much, he teased. Sheila smirked. And you don't worry enough. Kevin laughed. That's why we work. Another sharp rattle echoed briefly beneath the floorboards. This time, louder. Sheila looked down, instinctively, then toward the rearview mirror. Something dark scattered across the road behind them. Tiny pieces. Metal, maybe. Her stomach tightened. Kevin, he glanced over. What? I think something just fell off the car. Kevin's smile faded slightly now. He eased his foot off the accelerator. The engine suddenly coughed once. Then again, the steering wheel vibrated beneath his hands. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. The road around them had become strangely isolated now. Dense trees rose on either side, while long shadows stretched slowly across the pavement ahead. Then the engine died completely. Silence. The muscle car rolled quietly forward before coming to a stop near the edge of the empty road. Kevin turned the key once. Nothing. Again. Only a dry clicking sound answered. The warm summer atmosphere suddenly felt very far away now. The forest around them stood completely still. No birds, no wind, no passing traffic, just silence. Kevin exhaled slowly. Well, he forced a grin. This is slightly less romantic than I planned. Sheila laughed softly despite the unease creeping into her chest. Then she noticed something ahead, farther down the road. A gas station, old, small, half hidden behind the trees. Its faded neon sign flickered weakly in the distance. Open. Kevin followed her gaze toward the lonely gas station sitting beneath the trees. The flickering neon sign buzzed weakly against the approaching evening. Open. Though from the condition of the place, it looked as though it should have closed decades ago. The building stood isolated beside the empty road, partially hidden behind overgrown bushes and leaning pine trees. Only one dim light glowed beneath the awning above the fuel pumps. Sheila frowned. That place looks abandoned. Kevin squinted through the windshield. Well, it's either that or we start pushing. She glanced around. The road behind them had become eerily empty now. The lively summer atmosphere from town felt impossibly far away. No passing cars, no distant music, nothing. Only the soft ticking of the cooling engine. Kevin grabbed the keys and stepped out onto the gravel shoulder. The sudden silence outside felt heavier somehow. Sheila followed him a moment later. Warm daylight still lingered across the horizon, but beneath the trees the shadows had already deepened into an uneasy blue-gray darkness. Kevin popped the hood. Steam drifted faintly upward. Great, he muttered. Sheila stepped beside him and leaned slightly over the engine bay. At first glance, nothing seemed catastrophically wrong, but then she noticed something strange. A thin trail of dark liquid stretched across part of the engine block. Not oil. Too thin. Too watery. Kevin rubbed the back of his neck. Can you tell what's wrong? Sheila didn't answer immediately. No. She touched the liquid carefully with 2 fingers. Cold. Ice cold. Far colder than it should have been. Even Kevin noticed her expression shift slightly. What? She wiped her fingers slowly against a cloth rag near the hood latch. Probably coolant, she said quietly, but her voice lacked certainty. The liquid had no smell, no color, just cold. A sudden metallic clang echoed somewhere deep within the forest behind the gas station. Both of them froze. Kevin looked up first. What the hell was that? The sound had been distant, but deliberate, like metal striking metal. Once, the flickering open sign buzzed overhead. Sheila glanced toward the station building itself. The windows were dark. Yet somehow, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone inside was watching them. Kevin shut the hood halfway. I'm gonna see if anybody's there. I'll come with you. Together. They crossed the cracked pavement toward the station. Weeds pushed through broken concrete near the pumps, while old advertisements peeled from the windows in faded strips. As they approached the entrance, Sheila noticed the old gas prices still displayed on a rusted signboard near the road. 89 cents. Her pace slowed slightly. That can't be right. Kevin looked back. What? She pointed toward the sign. The prices. Kevin stared at it for a second, then laughed quietly. Maybe they forgot to update it sometime around 1998. But Sheila didn't laugh. Something about the station felt wrong in a way she couldn't explain. Not abandoned. Not ruined. More like untouched. Kevin reached for the door handle. The bell above the entrance jingled softly as the door creaked inward. Inside, the station smelled faintly of dust, gasoline, and something damp beneath it. Rows of old snack shelves stood mostly empty, while a radio somewhere behind the counter played faint static mixed with distant country music. But there was no clerk, no customers, nobody at all. Kevin looked around. Hello? No response. The radio crackled softly. Sheila slowly wandered farther inside. Old photographs hung along one wall beside newspaper clippings yellowed with age, fishing tournaments, town festivals, classic car shows. Her eyes moved absently across them, until one photograph made her stop cold. It showed the exact same gas station, the exact same road, and parked beside pump number 2 was Kevin's car. Sheila stared at it silently. The photo looked old, very old, at least 30 years. Yet there was no mistaking the car. Even the dent near the rear bumper was identical. Kevin noticed her expression. What? Without speaking, Sheila pointed slowly toward the photograph. Kevin stepped closer. The color drained from his face. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Then Kevin forced a nervous laugh. Okay, that's weird. But Sheila barely heard him anymore, because standing beside the car in the photograph was a man, tall, wearing dark mechanic overalls. And although the image was blurry, she could swear the man's face looked exactly like Kevin.